The concept of EyeArt developed out of my deep interest in photography, and at first I began to take photographs and post them on Flickr on the internet. It's a combination of my work with eyes and nature. Then I developed the Kaplan eye code, which is an innovative perception technology that's used by many professionals to assist people in seeing themselves more clearly. So I was photographing the iris of the eye, and I began to more and more see the resemblance between what I was seeing as a structure in the eye and items in nature. So the nature of the iris, which is the human being, has correlates to the nature outside. So in this particular example, there's the structure of the iris, which is the thinking structure like a hard rock. Then I began to develop pictorial representations of describe a certain aspect of consciousness of the person, between the inner nature of the human being recorded on the iris and the nature outside. And because this is built on the original iris diagnosis and iridology, I connected the science of being able to have descriptors for each part of the iris, like regions. Then I began to have an idea that the iris is like a window or the mask of the human being on the outside. But when you analyze the different structures, you are able to go deeper into the very nature of the person. And so there are the faces of the iris. Different aspects affect behavior in a different way. When someone comes to see me, I use a simple digital camera to photograph the iris. In this particular example, there were two people, a couple, and they wanted to have an art piece that revealed the independent qualities of nature for each of them, and also to have it as a blending and integration of the two parts. So after I did the initial analysis, I sent them home with the recorded information, and then on a second visit we began to talk about the qualities. They described the colors that they liked in the iris. They described the qualities, like there's a desert calmness, some wildness, contrast of the sky, and crystal clarity. And so in my notes I recorded this information and began to do some rough sketches of potential archival images that I could use for this particular production, and then laid out how the eyes would be positioned on the final photograph, and then the elements within the photograph. In doing an art project like this, the first step is to have a very good quality camera with a good lighting system to be able to shoot a photograph of the eye that's going to be able to be brought to a 300 dpi in a format that's going to be 70 centimeters by 45 centimeters. So you want to be able to hold the detail. And so with this particular camera setup, which is a halogen light source and flash, a xenon flash, you can see that the quality of the iris photograph that I get is extremely good. And these can be blown up to a very large size. And I'm only using a 6.3 million pixel Canon camera. So the first element was working with one of the person's eyes, the brown coloration. So my first image was a picture of a sand dune. I wanted to get the color to match the iris, so I worked with the color changes in Photoshop and then did my first blend, a horizontal blend from the sand dune effect to the side of the iris. The next blend was at the bottom using another portion of the same image. The next aspect of the iris was the partner of this person described the eye as like a tiger's eye. So from this photograph of water and rocks, I was able to create an image of what I call the tiger's eye. So I extracted a certain part of the structure, duplicated it, and then cloned in the eye into the what looks like eyebrows. From there I blended that image now with the first sand dune effect, and then the last image on the top was a photograph of a sunset, and that's the final version blended in. So that is the complete picture of the one person's iris structure and nature. And you can see from this blend that the structures in the iris are matched by the different parts of nature, the coloration, the rocks, the sand dune. The next step was to work with the other iris, which has a different structure. And one of the elements that I wanted to work with was a blue sky to match the blue with a cloudy formation. There were orange-brown colorations, there were mountain ranges. So I used this photograph of the backside of Cape Town in South Africa in the most beautiful gardens, and I cut off the sky and did a horizontal blend, and then added a water scene from the left side of the crystals and blended that in. And then I went back to the photograph and chopped off the top part for the sky effect and added that in on top of the mountain range. Then I was complete for the structures for this particular iris pattern, and then came up with the final photograph and the combination of the horizontal blend of the two images of the iris plus the aspects of nature, which gives the final art piece. So I trust that this little video is helpful for those of you who are interested in doing blends and collages, and this talks about the EyeArt that I've developed. And what they will do with this photograph, they will take it into their home and look at the photograph, and what that will do is basically give them an inner feeling of their qualities, of their nature, when they need to be reminded and to live according to that nature. Thank you.